Hey everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. This time we're taking a look at Find Your Why by Simon Sinek, David Mead, and Peter Docker.
Yeah, a really interesting book. I mean, it's become pretty popular,
Yeah, it really has.
and for good reason.
For good reason.
It's not just about business.
Right.
It's about uncovering something much deeper.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
It's really about what drives us as humans, what motivates us. But
exactly.
one of the things that really stood out to me was the book's emphasis on the science behind all of this, particularly the role of the limbic brain.
Oh, absolutely. The limbic brain, that's like the emotional control center.
Yeah.
The part of our brains that's really responsible for decision making.
Ah,
And get this, that part of the brain, it doesn't have the capacity for language.
mm,
That's so interesting
it is,
because it means it can be really hard to put our WHY into words,
right?
even though we feel it so deeply.
Yeah, like you just know there's something there,
Yeah.
but it's hard to explain it.
Yeah, it's like we instinctively know what truly matters to us,
Yeah,
but actually articulating it clearly, that can be a real struggle.
it's a challenge for sure. But the book makes a really strong case that figuring this out, like figuring out our WHY, it's crucial,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to connecting with other people.
Oh, absolutely. When you meet someone who knows their WHY, there's this authenticity, this sense of trust that just radiates from them.
Like a magnet, you're just drawn to them.
You can feel it, right?
Yeah,
Think about some of the leaders or brands that you really admire. Chances are they have a really strong sense of WHY, and it just resonates with you.
it's true. And Find Your Why, this book, it offers this really practical framework
Eh.
for actually discovering your own WHY, and it all begins with looking back at your own experiences.
Right. It encourages you to really dig deep into specific stories and memories from your life.
Not just like general statements.
No, not like, oh, I had a happy childhood, but moments that evoke strong emotions. For example, think about a time when you felt truly fulfilled or energized by something you were doing.
Yeah.
What were the specific details of that experience? What made it so meaningful to you?
What stood out? And the book uses this great example, the story of Todd. He was going through a really rough time in his life,
Mm-hmm.
feeling lost, battling addiction, and this seemingly insignificant event happened. It changed everything for him. He came across this little girl running a lemonade stand, and he decided to just give her all the change he had in his car. And this small act of giving sparked something really profound in him.
Wow. It's amazing how our WHY can be revealed in unexpected places.
Yeah.
For Todd, that experience at the lemonade stand, it ignited the sense of purpose that he had been missing.
Totally.
He realized that his WHY was to help others discover their potential and live more meaningful lives.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the lemonade or the money. It was about the feeling he got from that act of generosity.
No.
It tapped into something much deeper. It's so powerful. But how do we go from, we've got all these stories and emotions swirling around. How do we shape them into a concrete WHY statement? Does the book give us a formula or something?
It does. The book provides a simple yet powerful framework for writing a WHY statement. It goes like this. To, and then in brackets, your contribution. Then so that, and then in brackets, the impact.
Okay, I'm following so far. But what exactly do they mean by contribution? Is it like our job title or our skills?
Not quite. It's much deeper than that. It's the core value you bring to any situation, the unique impact you have on the world around you.
I see.
For example, your contribution might be to inspire creativity or to foster connection.
Okay. And the impact part of this statement, that describes the feeling or transformation you inspire in others.
Exactly. So let's say your contribution is to inspire creativity.
Hmm.
Your WHY statement could be something like, to inspire creativity so that people feel empowered to express themselves and bring their unique ideas to life. That's really clear. I'm starting to see how this framework can help us distill our WHY into something concise and actionable. But the WHY is just the starting point, right? The book also talks about the importance of our HOWs.
Yes. The HOWs are the actions we take. The actions that bring our WHY to life.
Okay.
They are the guiding principles that reflect our values and how we operate at our best.
So if my WHY is to inspire creativity, my HOWs might be like to embrace experimentation,
Yeah.
to encourage curiosity, or to create a safe space for exploration.
You got it. It's important to understand that HOWs are distinct from corporate values,
Right.
which can sometimes feel generic or imposed.
Mhm.
Personal HOWs, they're rooted in who we are as individuals and how we naturally approach things.
That makes a lot of sense. I can definitely see how knowing our WHY and HOWs can help us make more intentional choices in both our personal and professional lives.
Absolutely. It's about aligning your actions with your values and creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
And Find Your Why gives us some really compelling examples of how individuals and organizations put these concepts into action. We'll dive into those in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. Let's take a closer look at how those HOWs really bring the WHY to life with some of the inspiring examples from the book.
I'm excited. Okay, so we've talked about the WHY and the HOWs, but what really stuck with me was the book's emphasis on specific examples.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not enough to just have a vague idea of your WHY.
Right.
You need to see it in action.
Absolutely. I think the book does a fantastic job of illustrating these concepts through these real-life stories.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind is Simon Sinek's own experience. He actually turned down a high-profile client.
You turned down a client, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So this client would have been a huge win for his company.
Oh, wow.
But their approach just totally clashed with Sinek's personal HOWs.
I see.
And he knew that taking them on would mean compromising his values
Wow.
and ultimately undermining the WHY of his work.
That's a bold move, especially in the business world.
It is.
To turn down a client like that.
Yeah, it really shows the power of staying true to your WHY, even when you're faced with these really tempting opportunities.
Right, because it would have been easy to just take the client and the money,
Exactly.
but it wouldn't have felt right.
And it highlights the importance of understanding your HOWs. These are like your non-negotiables, the principles that guide your actions and your decisions.
Yeah, they're like your guiding principles, like a filter for the opportunities that we pursue.
Exactly.
It's about making choices that align with our values, rather than just chasing success or recognition.
Right. It's not just about the outcome. It's about how you get there.
Exactly.
The book also shares a compelling example of an organization that has successfully integrated its WHY and HOWs into its culture.
Okay.
It's the story of Cuesta Morris, a company that started as a supermarket in Costa
A
Rica.
supermarket. What's so special about a supermarket?
Well, what's fascinating is that the founder, Alberto, he didn't just want to sell groceries.
Okay.
He had a much deeper WHY.
Ah.
He wanted to create a space where people felt valued and connected, where they could find not just food, but also a sense of community.
So it wasn't about the products themselves.
No.
It was about the impact he wanted to have on people's lives.
Exactly.
I see.
And his HOWs reflected this.
Okay.
He implemented innovative practices like profit sharing with employees, and he even offered free English classes to the community.
Wow. Those are some really concrete examples of how his HOWs brought his WHY to life.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about making a profit, it was about making a difference.
No.
And that commitment to his WHY and HOWs has guided Cuesta Morris' success even as the business has evolved and expanded beyond supermarkets.
So they've grown.
They've grown, but they've stayed true to their core values.
That's so
It
important.
really is a testament to the enduring power of purpose-driven leadership.
Those are some really inspiring examples. But the book also acknowledges that maintaining a strong connection to your WHY, it can be a challenge, especially for organizations.
Right, you're talking about the concept of the split, right?
Yeah. Well, what exactly is the split, and why is it something to be aware of?
Well, the split happens when organizations grow and they lose sight of their WHY.
Okay.
They become so focused on the products, the processes, the day-to-day operations, that they forget the reason they started doing those things in the first place.
And what's the impact of this split on the organization and its people?
It can be really detrimental. When the WHY fades, passion dwindles, employees start to feel disconnected, and innovation stagnates.
Like they lose their soul.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a slow leak in the company's soul.
Yeah, that's a powerful image. It makes me think about how important it is for leaders to actively cultivate a WHY-driven culture.
Absolutely. And Find Your Why offers some practical advice on how to do this. It's about constantly reminding people WHY, they're doing what they're doing, connecting every decision and action back to that core purpose.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing?
No, it's an ongoing process.
It requires ongoing effort and attention.
It does.
I see.
The book highlights companies like Ultimate Software that have successfully created WHY-driven cultures.
Oh, interesting.
They really prioritize their employees' well-being and empower them to make decisions that are aligned with the company's values.
So they found a way to integrate the WHY into the very fabric of their organization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're reaping the benefits. Ultimate Software consistently ranks high on lists of best places to work,
That makes sense.
and their employees are highly engaged and motivated.
I can see why.
It's a testament to the power of a strong WHY.
So we've talked about the WHY and HOWs for individuals and organizations, but how does this all tie back to us as listeners? Why should we care about finding our WHY?
It's a great question. Whether you're leading a team, choosing a career path, or just navigating your everyday life, understanding your WHY provides this compass for decision-making.
It's about aligning our actions with our values
Exactly.
and creating a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling.
It's not about finding some grand universal purpose.
Right.
It's about understanding what makes you tick, what gets you excited, what drives you to make a difference.
And that can be different for everyone.
It can.
Some people find their WHY in their work, others in their relationships or their hobbies.
Exactly. The key is to be intentional
Mhm.
about exploring your values and identifying the activities and experiences that bring you joy and a sense of purpose.
And to remember that it's a journey.
It is.
Your WHY might evolve over time as you grow and change.
That's such an important point. It's not about finding the one perfect WHY and sticking with it forever.
Yeah.
It's about being open to learning and evolving.
Yes, it's a process.
It is.
And Find Your Why provides some really practical tools for this journey. But what I appreciate most is the book's emphasis on personal reflection and storytelling.
Yeah, those are powerful tools for uncovering our deeper motivations and making sense of our experiences.
The book encourages us to look for patterns in our past,
Mm-hmm.
to identify those moments that truly resonated with us.
Right.
Those are the clues to our WHY.
Exactly.
And once we have a clear understanding of our WHY, we can start making choices that align with it.
Right.
And that can be challenging at times.
It can.
It might mean saying no to opportunities that don't feel right,
Yeah,
or taking risks that push us outside our comfort zones.
it might.
But ultimately, living in alignment with our WHY leads to a greater sense of fulfillment and purpose.
It does.
And that's what makes this journey so worthwhile. One thing I found really interesting is that Find Your Why doesn't shy away from the challenges
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses.
of living a WHY-driven life, right?
There are definitely some bumps in the road.
It acknowledges that staying true to your WHY
Mm.
sometimes means making tough choices.
To-
Like, remember Simon Sinek turning down that
Yeah.
lucrative client?
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
It would have been easy to just take the money.
Right, but it would have gone against his WHY.
Exactly. And the book argues that those tough decisions, like walking away from a job that's no longer fulfilling or saying no to an opportunity that doesn't feel quite right,
Yeah, those can be scary decisions.
they can be.
But they're the ones that ultimately lead to greater fulfillment.
Because when you're living in alignment with your WHY, you're not just existing,
Right.
you're thriving.
You're living with purpose.
And that sense of fulfillment, it spills over into all areas of your life.
It does. It impacts your relationships, your hobbies.
Your well-being, everything.
It's about creating a life that feels authentic and purposeful.
But the book also cautions against comparing our WHY to others.
Oh, that's so important.
Yeah, because it's easy to fall into that trap,
It is.
thinking that our WHY isn't as grand or impactful.
Right, like maybe you think your WHY is too small.
Like my WIY of to bring joy through laughter might seem insignificant compared to someone whose WIY is to end world hunger.
Yeah, but the book emphasizes that your WHY is unique to you.
Right, it's not a competition.
Exactly.
It's not about being better or worse than anyone else.
It's about understanding what makes you you.
Yeah, and living in alignment with that truth.
And even if two people have a similar WHY, the way they express it through their HOWs will be totally different.
Fingerprints.
Yeah, no two are exactly alike.
And that's what makes finding and living your WHY so fascinating.
It's a journey of self-discovery.
And personal expression.
And the book gives some helpful tips for actually articulating your HOWs.
Yeah, like what?
Well, it encourages us to reflect on our past experiences and identify the patterns and how we operate at our best.
So we're back to those specific stories and memories.
Exactly.
What were the times when you felt most energized and fulfilled? What were you doing? How were you approaching the situation?
By paying attention to those recurring themes, we can start to shape them into actionable how-W statements.
Like, one of your recurring themes is connection.
Hmm?
Your how-W statement might be to build meaningful relationships, or to create a sense of belonging wherever I go.
Exactly.
And those how-W statements, they become guiding principles for our actions and decisions.
They do. They help you stay on track.
Okay, so once we have our WHY and HOWs figured out, what's next? How do we actually live them out in the real world?
Well, it's about making conscious choices. Choices that align with those values.
Big and small. From the
Exactly.
career path we choose to the way we interact with others.
It's about bringing that sense of purpose into every aspect of our lives.
And Find Your Why offers some practical advice on how to do this.
It does.
And it's not about shouting your WHY from the rooftops.
No, it's much more subtle than that.
It's about letting it subtly infuse everything you do
Exactly.
so that people can sense it, even if they can't articulate it.
It's about that quiet confidence, that genuine passion that draws people in.
Yeah, and that's what makes this journey so rewarding. It's not just about finding your WHY. It's about becoming the best version of yourself.
And inspiring others to do the same.
Well, this deep dive into Find Your Why has been incredibly insightful. It's given us a framework for understanding our motivations and making choices that align with our values,
I hope it's inspired you to embark on your own journey of self-discovery.
and to remember that it's never too late to start living a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring.